Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful tutorial we're trying to see how to build a very simple app called document redactor app. We're using Streamlit and then SpaCy, so we're trying to censor or redact specific terms from a particular document. So let's see what we're building. So in case I paste in a test here, right, this is Peter works in New York as a CIA developer. I don't know whether there's something called CIA developer, but let's take that as an example. He always work with David Matthews and Gloria Brown, right? So I want to redact all the various names from this particular stuff. So I can select the particular item I want to redact or censor. So you can have the names, we have places, we have organizations. Then I'll choose the option that I want to do, whether to save the file or not to save, right? So either save or not to save, but let's save it. Now I'll click on submit. So if I click on submit, it's going to analyze this particular test, identify the names, redact the names or censor the names, and give me the result. So it's trying to render the original test and the various entities that it's going to find within it. Perfect. So this was the original test. This is the entities that's been able to identify. So Peter is a person, New York is a place, CIA is an organization, Matthew is a person, Gloria Brown is also a person. So it's going to give us the redacted test. You can see that all of these things have been redacted, right? So these names have been redacted. Now everything is going to be saved in this particular location, this particular file name. Then in case I want to download it, I just come to download file. So I can either click on it straight away, then it's going to download the file with a default name called download. So if I open this, you can see the test there, right? Redacted name there. So let's open it. So if you see that this is a test, right? So redacted name works in New York as a CIA developer. He works, so that I don't know whether you can see it well, right? That is the test there. Perfect. So that is one way of saving it. I can also right click on it and then save it. So I can just copy this name here and then right click and save link as, then I'll save it, right? It's going to open the place. I'll paste in my test. So if I save it, now it's going to be saved in this particular file and I can open it. So let's show it in folder and then let's open it, right? So it's showing it here, then I can open it with Sublime. So let's use Sublime to open it. So this is it, right? Perfect. So you can see it here. So redacted works in New York, which is just the same word here, the same word that we had here, right? Perfect. So that is how to work with this. So we're trying to build this particular app in this tutorial. Then you can also come to the session redaction, you can go to the downloads and you can see all the tests that we have done. And you can also download it in case you don't want to download it straight from this place. You can also use the downloads option and you're going to see all the various files there. So there are several of them with different names, different timestamp, right? You can perfect it and you can format it to your needs, but I'm using time to do that. I can also do the same thing. So let's say I select this, it's going to load a particular file here. Then I can also save it just like the previous one, either download it or right click and then save it, right click and then use this particular name to save it. So let's see how to build this particular app. So this is the credit goes to these people for the idea, for the general idea about how to download a file. And then so these are the credits. So to MarcSkov I don't know his name, apologies. Okay, MarcSkovMadsen, right, at Awesome Streamlit. That's a very nice website. And then the Streamlit team, Adrian, one of the co-founders of Streamlit, and then of course myself. So let's see how to build this app in this tutorial. So we're starting everything from scratch. So just start everything. I'll set up the place and we start working. Perfect. So let's see. So I'll just come back to here. Then I'm going to create a folder called mkdir, our document. Let's make it big, a little. Like I'm rapping. Documents, redactor app, right? Something like that. Then we're going to cd into document redactor. There's nothing here, right? So we're going to create a first file, so touch app.py. Then we're going to make a directory for our downloads. Perfect. That is the basic stuff we need. So if I go retrieve now, you can see that we have our downloads and our app. So what we need to work with this is that we need to install Streamlit. So pip install Streamlit, and then you also need SpaCy, and then you need SpaCy, right? These are the two main things that you need: Streamlit and then SpaCy to enable you to do your document redaction, and then Streamlit to enable us to build our app in a very nice way. So that is what we're using. So let's start building. So in case you are not subscribed to this channel, you can also subscribe to this channel, and then check the link below for some interesting materials and some interesting courses to help you master machine learning and Python. So let's see how to build it. So I'm going to open from Sublime, and I'm going to start working on it. So let's close this one off, and let's start everything from beginning. All right, so let's see how to build it. So I'm just going to open the app file that you created, then I'm just going to start from scratch, right? So we'll be going from Streamlit, import. See what I'm doing? Let's go straight away with this. Import Streamlit as st. This is going to be our core package. Let me expand it so that I can see it well. This is going to be our core package, right? And then we're going to import OS. These are the main core packages that we're using, and we also have some NLP packages to do our document redaction. And then let's start. So I'm just going to create a first function called main. Then this function doesn't take any argument. It's going to be our main function. So let's call it document redaction app, right? Something like that, or document redactor. Perfect. Then let's go with st.title document redactor app. Then we're just going to give something dot test build with Streamlit and SpaCy. Perfect. So we have been able to create something very basic. Then let's close it with our if main. Okay, so let's see what we have done so far, right? I'm just going to come back to my terminal. Then we have our file here. Then run it with Streamlit run app.py. We're going to run it, and then we're going to see the result that we have. So whilst it's opening, let's do some other stuff. So the structure of our app is that we are going to have some activities that we want to do, right? So it's going to be our activities, which is going to be for our redaction. We also have one for the downloads, and then the last one is going to be for our about, right? These are going to be our menu. So I'll save it, and then it's working as expected. So it's ready. So it's loading from here. So I can copy the URL here, and then let's use Chrome, right? So I just copy this URL, and we use Chrome to help us work on it. So copy this one. Let's close the one for, then use Chrome. So I'll paste it here. Okay, perfect. So let's see what you have done so far. So it's loading. Everything is working as expected. Perfect, right? So document redactor app. Perfect. So that is how to start. Now let's work on the activities. We have done redaction, downloads, and about. Then let's create a simple if condition to help us with that. Right, so I'm going to go with choice. It's going to be st.sidebar.select box. Then we're going to pass in that select, let's say tax, right, that you want to do. Then you pass in our activities. If I save it now, it's going to create a sidebar button. So let's go with always run. Let's make it here. So always run. So you can see that now we have our sidebar. We have our redaction, downloads, and an about. Perfect. So let's go with the individual sessions. So I just come back here. Then let's build. So they say if our choice is go to redaction, then I want you to st.sub header. Then I pass in, let's say, redaction of terms, right? Some specific terms. Then this one is going to be else if our choice is go to downloads. Then st.sub header, then downloads list, right? Something like that. Downloads list, yeah. Then the last one is going to be else if choice is go to about, for about. So this is going to be st.sub header, then about. So we have been able to work on the about option, right? So if I come back here, now everything is working as expected. So if I select the about, you can see that about is showing. If I select the downloads, the downloads is showing. Then if I select the redaction is showing. Now let's see how to work on each and every of these terms. So the first thing that we need is that we need to be able to create a place to receive our test, right? So it's going to be very simple. So you're just going to call it as raw test, our favorite term, right? Raw test, then st.test area. Then I'm going to pass in, say enter here, or enter test. Then we're going to pass in type here, right? Something very basic. And then the next thing that we need to also create another one for our items, what we want to redact. So if I save this one, it's going to show the particular test area here, but we need to be able to create an option to select the various terms that you want to censor, you want to redact, right? So in that case, it's going to be our redaction item that you want to redact, or the terms you want to redact. So we have our names, we have our places, we have oral G for organization, we have, let's say, dates, right? You can add as many as you want. So these are the terms that you want to redact from our list. Then I'm going to create another option of, let's say, redaction choice, what you want to do, which is going to be st.select box, and I'll pass in that's the select term to redact, right? A particular term that you want to redact or you want to censor or classify, right? Then I'll pass in my redaction item. Perfect. So let me expand it so that you see. So we have a list of the things that you want to select out, and then we have a choice option, right? Perfect. So if I save it now and we come back here, you can see that we have this select item to censor. We have names, we have places, organization, and dates, right? You can add several of them as you wish. Then now we need to be able to create another option to save stuff. So save option, it's going to be st.radio. We are using radio button. Then I'll go with save to file, yes or no. Then I'll pass in my tuple, right? So this is going to be a tuple of yes or no. So yes, and then no, right? So if I save it now and I come back here, then now we have our yes and no here. Let me close off this. We have our yes and no there, right? Everything is working as expected. So the next thing we need is that we need to be able to add a functionality to it. So let's add a button to it. So the button is going to be if st.button is called to button, right, is submit, right? If the button is submit, if you click on this particular button, then I want you to do your analysis. So the first thing is that we are going to work on the various ways in which we can first of all save our file, and also how to redact, do the redaction from it. Right now, if I go with this st. right, I can only see the test there, right? See our raw test, which is going to be our raw test that is coming. So it's going to, if I type in something here like hello Streamlit, right, and I go with submit, I'm going to just print this hello Streamlit here. So hello Streamlit has been printed, but you want to be able to add a redaction to it. So let's see how to do that. I'm just going to expand it and then we work on it. I'm just going to go to the top of my file and then import all the various NLP packages. So it's going to be import SpaCy that you will be using. Then from SpaCy, import this SpaCy. Then the next thing is that we're going to initialize our NLP object with SpaCy.load en, right, to load the English model. That is the basic idea. So we are using SpaCy to do our redaction and then identifying the various entities. So the basic idea is that we are using the entities to redact the file, right, to censor the file. So be writing a simple function. Let's call it as a function to sanitize or redact. Let's call it sanitize and redact, something like that. So document redaction, document censorship, right? And then sanitization are almost the same. So let's go with def, and then let's call it sanitize our names. Then I'll pass in my test. Then from here, I'm just going to go with creating an NLP object. Then I'll pass in a test, right? creating a document. Then I'll go with redacted sentence. I'm going to create a list of sentences, redacted sentences, which is going to be an empty list. Then I'll be appending the various lists and into it, right? So it's going to be for ent in our docs.ents. This is what we use to identify all the various entities within our test, right? In SpaCy, we use ents to identify all the entities within our document. Then I'm going to loop through that particular entities and then compare it with the entity type, whether it is a name or not a name, right? So if it's a name, then redact it. If it's not a name, spare it, right? So I'm just going to go entity dot merge. So I'm going to merge all the various entities there. Perfect. Then I'm going to loop through it. So let's go for token in my docs, right? Then if my token dot ent type is equal to person, right? So there are several entity types that you have. Can check it on the SpaCy official website. If my entity type is equal to person for that particular token, because names are usually persons, right? Anytime you see a name in a document, it's referring to a person. So if that is the case, that is a human being's name, I want you to pick that particular term and then store it inside our sentence right here. So it's going to be like this. So redacted sentences dot append. Then I'll pass in the particular test there. Right, so let's make it like this. Then I'll pass in a list called redacted name, right? So that we know that it was a name there. The best way is that just go with redacted. But to make it easier for us, we are just saying that it is a name that I redacted, right? So that's why we're using redacted name. Then this is token, not talk. Right, so for token in docs, if token dot type entity type is equal to person, then I want you to append that particular this to our original test there, right? But that's the basic idea. Then now just going to go with an else condition. So else redacted sentence dot append, going to be appending all the other ones that we did not find as a person, right? It is going to be our token dot string, right? We are be appending all of this there. Then we're going to join the entire stuff together as our return. So we will just return our all of them joined together. Dot join our redacted sentences. That is what we are trying to join them together so that we get the full test back, right? So the basic idea is that whatever test I passed here, I'll convert it to an NLP object. Then I'll loop through it and find all the entities and merge them together. Then I'll loop through it and find all the tokens and then check the type of entity for the token. If it's person, append it with this particular stuff, right? Replace and append it with this, else join them together. So let's try this particular function and see whether it's going to work. I'm just going to come back to here, right? And then let's add it straight away to this. So let's make it like result. And then I'm just going to go with sanitize names and I'll pass in my raw test, right? So be bringing this result here. So we see what you have done so far. Result. So let's save it and let's see. So if I come back here, it's analyzing everything. We are using names for now. We want to see whether it's going to work. So this is not going to work. So let's use something like James works in Accra, right? Accra is a capital of Ghana. So this we are using only names. So if I click on submit, James is a name, so it's going to identify it as a name, and then it's going to redact it for us. Taking some time. So James works in Accra, right? So it couldn't identify that. Let's try it again. Let me save it and try it again. So we're going to do the same thing. We are only using names, right? So I'll go with submit, and hopefully it's going to work. Okay, perfect. So it's working, right? So redacting name works in Accra. So that means that our first function is working. So that is how to redact files, right? Using SpaCy. Very, very interesting. But it would be nicer if we were able to display what we are doing, right? So this is how to redact names. So let's do the same thing for the other ones, like places, organizations, and date. So the only thing we'll be changing in our function is this particular type, right? So we'll be changing this particular type. So let's create another one. So just copy the same thing that we have here. Then we're going to change it to places, right? So be sanitized place. Then we'll be changing it from here, right? So this must be a place or geopolitical environment, which is GPE, right? That is how SpaCy identify places, and then we're going to call it as redacted place, right? Something very basic. So let's save this one, and then let's come back to here, and then let's write the other function well. So this is going to be something simple, that if our, so we're saying if our redaction, if our redaction redaction choice is equal to, let's say, names, right? Then I want you to use this particular option, right? Then I want you to pass this option there, which is the one we had initially, right? That's the first option. I'm going to return that particular stuff. Then the next one is that else if our redaction choice is equal to places, right? Then I want you to do the same thing that we had for this one here. So we'll be using the same thing, but this is not going to be names, is going to be places, right? Or place, right? You can call it as places, or you can call it as places, but let's call it as places so that it's consistent. So this is going to be places, right? So if I come back here and then let's check what you have so far. So it's going to return the result here. Then let's refresh and see what you have done. So I'll go with place, then let's submit, because Accra is a place. Hopefully it's able to identify that Accra is a place. Let's submit. Let's see what is going to give us the right result. So James working Accra, it couldn't do it again. Let's refresh and save it, and let's see. Let's save it again, so we did earlier on, and let's hope it comes. Accra is a place. Hopefully it's able to identify that Accra is a place. Submit. And then we are checking, right? Accra is a place, but I can't find. Let's make Accra London, I think, right? London, and let's choose places. Let's submit and see whether it's going to work, because the names already work, but the place must also work, right? It should be able to identify London as a place. Perfect. So that means that it cannot identify Accra. So now it is working. So let's add the various ones. So we have names, we have places. So I'm just going to copy the code for, it's the same thing, right? You just repeat for names, places, dates. So I'll just copy and paste because the same thing. The only thing we'll be changing is this particular stuff, right? So let me copy and paste the code there. So I'll paste it here because the same code, right? So we have one to sanitize places, one to sanitize states. We are changing it here as state, one to sanitize organization, and you can add several as you wish. All right, so let's save it and let's come back down here. So we have one for place. So I'm just going to duplicate this one. It's going to be for organization and date. So this is going to be for organization, org, and then this is going to be for dates, right? So this, we'll change this one to sanitize org and then sanitize dates, right? Sanitize date. So that is the basic idea, right? So we have all of them working as expected. Now the next option is to add the save button to it, right? So you can sanitize date, you can sanitize all of these things. You have to add the option of being able to save. So how do you do that? So I just come back to the top of my file here and create a function to write, right? To write to a file, to write our term to a file. So that is one function, but to be nicer, if you're able to also write a function to display entities, right? The entities there. So we'll be working on that. So let's see how to write a function to display the entity, then we'll save. So the simplest way of doing it is that we can just create def, then let's call it as render entities. Then I'll pass in my raw test, then do the same thing that we did in a previous tutorial that we did some time ago, which is going to be our NLP, pass in our raw test, just like above. Then create an HTML. We use SpaCy, which we imported, .render. Now pass in my docs. Then the style that we'll be choosing is going to be ent, right, for entity. Perfect. That's the basic idea. And then I'm just going to replace all the other ones. So I'll be replacing with HTML.replace. I'll replace all the double new lines with a single new line, right? Something you can omit this one, it's still going to work. That's the basic idea. So let's create an HTML wrapper at the top here, which is going to be here. Let's call it as other packages. So templates. So the first template is going to be our HTML wrapper, right? This is just to add beautification to it, right? So I'll copy it and paste it there because it's the same code that we used previously. So I'll paste it here, which is the same code, which was the same code. You're just using Markdown, right? This is a normal HTML style, right? CSS styling, overflow, auto, border. You're adding border, you're adding solid to it, you're adding some beautification to it, right? This is a simple wrapper. So whatever we passing, we passed here, right? Like a normal string formatting. That's going to be the template. And then when we come back to our file here, our function, then we're going to see that our result is going to be HTML wrapper dot format. Now passing my HTML, right? Perfect. Then I'll return our result. Perfect. Return our result. Perfect. So I can also bring the st.cache here. So the new versions have changed some other aspect of this st with the hashing, right? So that's something you have to remember about. But let's go with the one without the function, this simple macro. Did I say macro decorator? Like Julia. Okay, perfect. So this is going to render our entities. So if I come back here that we have, I can also use the same thing to render entities, right? Before our test, so I can render the original test here. So let's call it as st.subheader. Let's call it as original test. Then I'll do the normal stuff, st.write. Then I'll pass in my function, which is render entities. Now pass in my raw test, right? The raw test is coming from here, right? So we'll be showing that particular stuff here. So let's save it and let's see what we have done so far. So it's analyzing the same test that we did. Then it's going to show the entities. So if I go straight away with submit, it's going to show the entities that it's found within our original test. So it's analyzing it. So running render entities. Very interesting and very nice. They meant to bring the ST option. It makes it quite interesting, right? It brings this kind of informative stuff that makes the user know what it's doing behind the scene. Perfect. So now it is working, right, as expected. But it is showing the actual code, the actual stuff. But this is not user friendly, so you have to refactor it. So we'll be using Markdown to help us with that. So we can now from here can use Markdown, or can just do the same thing like on save allow, that's on save allow HTML, set it to true, right? You can also use on save allow for the write, because the write is a super function. Then it's going to work perfectly. So if I do the same thing that we had now with this on save allow HTML is equal to true, it's going to still render it perfectly, right, with the write. So it's running it perfect. So everything is working, right? So you can use Markdown, or you can just use the normal super function write st.write. So everything is working as expected. So the user can see the various entities, and the redacted word is this one, right? Very interesting. So let's expand it here. Let's add another one for the redaction. So let's call this one as redacted, and then this is going to be original test, right? So this is going to be redacted test. Okay, so let's work on the saving. So we have been able to see how to work on the display. We are just using SpaCy to render it, and we are passing it with a wrapper, and then we are using write or Markdown, right? You can also use Markdown, it's also going to work. That is st.markdown, and then it's also going to work, right? You can also use this one, but you have to make sure that this is set to allow. So let's take this one off. Then let's work on the save function. So the function to save is that it's going to be very simple. just going to create a function. So def.write to file, then I pass in my file. First of all, let's pass in our test, then we pass in our file name, right? Or we can just make it something simple, file name. Then from here I can just go with our read file, or instead of reading a file, let's open it with open. Then I'll use os.paths.join. Then we'll be using downloads. So you have to remember that you created a downloads folder here. So if I go to here, we have a downloads folder here, right? So we'll be storing our tests there. We write into that particular folder so that it becomes neater, right? Perfect. So that's what we'll be joining to. Then it's going to be the file that we have. It's going to be our file name. Perfect. Then that is all, right? So we are writing it there, and we are using write_byte to do that. So it's going to be W. You can also use append. You can use any of them, right? But we are using write_byte or normal write because it will be a different file. We are not appending to the old one. Then as F, if you're storing inside context from the F, then F.write, and we pass in our test, right? Perfect. That is the basic idea behind it. Now to be able to get it in a book, right, or get it straight away to download it from here. To download it from here, we will just have to store it inside a variable, right? So let's call this one as our file name. Then we're going to return it. So let's go to returning our file name, right? Perfect. So that it returns back the file that we supplied there. That is function to write to a file. Now let's come back to here and apply that function here. So we're using a simple way. So going with if our save option is equal to yes, right? If it's equal to yes, because the radio button, then I want you to save our file. So I'll just push this one here. There's a better way of doing this, but let's go with this particular option. If we save to this particular option, then now we can actually work on the write to file option. Can make it like something very simple. Let's go just a write to file, right? This particular write to file option. Then I'll pass in my test. I'll pass in the result, right? The result that is coming. Then a file name. So let's create a file name. So I'll put a simple template for that one too. So we'll be using import this for the time package. So we're using import time, and we're using time to do that. So we have imported time, right? So let's create a simple time template for that. So it's going to be something like that. This is a time string we'll be using, the current time, right? Then we're using this particular as the template default. You can change this one as you wish it to be, right? As you wish it to be. So I'll just paste that one here. So we have our templates, we have our wrapper, we have our time. So this is automatically going to generate a file name based on the time, right? With this particular default name. So let's come back to our write file. Then I'll pass in my file name, right? Perfect. So it's going to write to a file. Then we can actually display the particular type of file to the user. So we just give him an info. So st.info. Then we're going to say that save result as, right? It's going to save the result as a particular value to a particular file, right? Dot format. Then let's pass in our file name. File name name, right? So let's see what we have done so far. So in case you are not subscribed to this channel, you can also check and subscribe. In case you are enjoying it, comment, you can like it also. So let's try it and see this for places. The same thing we are using. Let's click on submit. We are using the save option. Hopefully it doesn't crash, right? So it's rendering our entities. Then it's going to save our file also. Perfect. So this is the original test and our entities, and then saved file as this, right? So if I come back to my location here, you can see that if I go to my downloads, you see that we have our file saved here. the same file here has been saved. So now we know how to save the file. Now how do we download the file, right? That is the next agenda. So I'm just going to go back to here that we have, and then work on the downloads option. So this is where we're using Marc's workaround. For now, we don't have a method inbuilt to download, but this is a simple workaround. So let's see how to work on that option. So I'm just going to create a function to help us to download, right? To download file. So it's going to be using Markdown and then some interesting stuff. So I'm going to import base65. So let's call it as import base 64, right? 64, rather, I said 65. Okay, and then now let's move on to the function to download. So let's make a function. Let's call it as def.make downloadable file, right? Make downloadable. We're going to make the file downloadable. Then we're going to pass in a file name that we want to make downloadable. Then we're going to read that particular file. So read file. It's going to be open, then os.paths.join. Then we're going to be going to our downloads folder, and then we are going to add the file name to it, right? So we add a file name to it, then .read. Perfect, right? So this is just going to open the file, right, and then read it, right? Because we are using base65, so we're going to open the file, we're going to read it, and then we're going to save it, right, in a different format with the base64 encoding. So it's going to be B64. This can be any name, and then it's going to be base64.base64 encode. We're going to pass in our read file, the file that you have opened. Then we're going to encode and decode it, right? So .encode and then decode, right? Then we're going to decode it, .decode. Perfect. So this is part of it. We are reading the file and then we are encoding it. Then we're going to decode it, right? So this is all together like this. Then we're going to decode the file. Perfect. So the next option is that we are going to be using a normal href and a simple a-link, right, to do that. Anchor tag. So let's put it inside. You can use it in this particular option. You can use string format or you can use string to do that. It's going to be our a href. Then going to pass in data file. Then the file type. So we're using the read file. There can be any name. Read file. Then we're going to pass in the base 64. Right? Base 64. And then the file, the particular base here, the encoded string. We are converting the string into bytes, right? You are doing that particular option here. So this is the basic idea. Then from here it's going to be this. Perfect. We're going to close it. Then we're going to tell the user, let's say download file. Then we're going to close our a tag, right? Our anchor tag. And from here you can just say that right click to save as file name, right? That is something very basic. You can just add your definition and identification to it, something very basic. So that is all. So this is the basic idea behind the download based on Marc's idea. We are reading our file, we are opening and reading our file, then we are converting them into base64 encoding, then we are going to put it inside this particular anchor tag, right? Then I'll pass in dot format my bs64, right? Perfect. That's the basic idea behind it, right? So this is going to make it like a link that we can download. The other one is going to make it without this encoding. If you are trying to download, it's not going to work. It's just going to give you an error. It's going to fail, right? So this is going to allow you to make it more easy to download. Then let's go with return our href. Perfect. So let's see it in action. So perfect. So we have been able to do that. So let's make this one something. So file to download, right? Something very basic. And then from here, this is the saving one. Then you can just bring, let's say, a d link. I call that download link. Then I'll pass in my make downloadable. Then I'll pass in first of all we pass in our file to download, which is about file to download, something very basic. Then now we can use markdown to help us with that. So markdown, then I'll pass in my D link or download link. Then don't forget to make it unsafe. Go to true. Right, perfect. So let's save it and see what you have done so far. I'll just come back. So the basic idea now is that we are going to just use this particular function to read our file and then convert it to a format that we can download. Then we are using the anchor tag to put it there so that you can click on it and download it. Then we are using markdown to render it. So this is the same text that we have. Then let's click on submit, and then we'll be using we are going to be seeing the markdown option, right? So everything is working well. So you can see the original test, you can see the redacted test, then we can see the save result, but it's giving us an error here. So let's check the error and let's fix it. Right, the reason it's giving us this error is because of a none type, so we are going to work on that particular none type. So it was giving us that particular error. So I think the reason it's giving us this error was because of the right. So let's change this one. Instead of saving it here, let's go straight away with this. Right, perfect. I'm going to return that file back again, because by default this is context manager, so it's automatically going to open the file and write everything there. It's going to return back the file, right? So that is the basic idea. So if I run it, then let's refresh. Now it's not going to give us this error because it's returning the original file with the things written on it. So let's submit. Doing the same thing. So let's submit it. It's running, and then we're going to see that it's giving us the right result. The error was because of the file type. So it's running the entities, then it's going to give us our result. Perfect. So this is working perfect, and now there's no error, right? So this is the original test, and now we can download. So if I click on this, it's going to show the download option. So that is downloading. Perfect. That's downloading. Perfect. So let's check and see whether it actually wrote our test there. James works in redacted place, and then we can also do the right click to it too. So just open my test editor. Perfect. So everything is working. James works in redacted place. It's working interestingly. So I can also right click, and then let's see. So I'll just copy this name here. Let's copy this name, right click, save link as, we save it on our desktop. Now paste in test, then save. So everything is working. Now let's go to our desktop and check. So desktop, and this was the one we did now. This is the one we did now. Hopefully it's going to work. Perfect. James works in redacted place. So everything is working as expected. Very, very interesting and very nice. So now let's work on it and see some other stuff you can also do, right? So we have been able to finish with the app. So the basic idea for now is that first of all, you're just going to import all the necessary packages here. So Streamlit, and then OS and base64 to help us with our downloading, our NLP packages to help us with entity extraction as well as redaction of our file, our time package to build a timestamp file, our wrapper, and our templates. Then we created a function to sanitize our test by comparing the particular entity type to what we want to select. If it's names, we are using persons. If it's place, we are using GPE. If it is dates, we are using dates. And then if it is organization, we are using organization, right? That's the basic idea. Then we created another function to render entities using SpaCy to render it perfectly, and then using markdown to help us render it. We created another function to write our file, and another function to make it downloadable, right? Something very basic. Now the next option is to work on our downloads and then our about, which is very easy. So let's work on our downloads option. So for the downloads, it's going to be very simple. So let's call it as files. Then here it's going to be using os.list dir, then os.paths.join. You go into our downloads folder, then you pick everything there, right? Downloads, that is all that we need. Perfect. Then the next thing is that we need to be able to give the file to download. So file to download is going to be our st.select box. Then I'll pass in select a file. right? A file to download. Then I pass in my files here. Perfect. That is something very basic. Now I can go with st.info and then pass in file name, which is going to be the file that we have selected, dot format. Then I'll pass in my file to download. Perfect. Let's save it and see what we have done so far. So I'll come back to our download section, which is beside it here. Select the particular downloads menu. It's going to tell us the various files there, right? Inside our downloads folder. Perfect. So these are all the various files there. Wow, only 3 of them, right? Perfect. So you can actually create a function to open it to see what is there before you even download it. If you want, you can also do that. It's not difficult to do that. Perfect. So that is the basic idea. Now to make or to work on the downloads, you can also use the same function that we had at the above, the same thing that we had here, right? So I can just copy this one here. No need of retyping everything. Then paste. Because the same thing, right? So we are using the same function. That's just the advantage of writing functions, right? It makes it easier. Then if I come back here, it's showing the same thing, so I can actually download the file, right? Can right click and then download the file, right? Save the file with a particular name, right? So let's call it as download.txt. Then it's also going to work perfectly, right? That's downloaded it. I can open it and see the text that was written on that particular text. James works in London. So that is the basic idea behind it. So to work on the about is quite simple. You can just put in st.test credit to, these are the credits to Mark at Awesome Streamlit. It's a very wonderful site. You can check it out. Awesome Streamlit.org. Then st.test for Adrian, one of the founders of Streamlit, and then st.test Jesus saves. This is just playing around. Okay, so something very basic. We are done with the about. Everything is working as expected. So thank you for watching this long tutorial. I hope you have learned something new in this tutorial. So in case you have any questions or contribution, you can just put inside the comment section so that everybody can benefit. But the basic idea for all that we have done so far is that first of all, import our packages, necessary packages, Streamlit and Base64 to help us with our downloading, SpaCy to help us with our redaction, and then we created individual functions to sanitize our test, one to render our test, one to write our file, one to make it downloadable, and then a simple normal Streamlit stuff. So check the link below for some interesting materials. And then there are 2 links. One will be for a course, right, which is from Udemy, right? Udemy is a new course on building machine learning apps, and then another one also on our official website, which is also an updating course. So you can also check these links in case you want to learn more. Thank you, and then see you in the next session. Stay blessed.